the Delhi CM, instead of attending to or addressing the flood control, decides to abdicate his responsibility as he has done on all possible occasions, including, the horrific instance of the COVID pandemic, where during the desperate need for oxygen, he was renovating his house. So once again, he has abdicated his responsibility, and he is in Bangalore instead of addressing the flood situation in Delhi. When it comes to Mamata Banerjee, with 50 people dead in panchayat elections, I think she should feel a little embarrassed before calling herself a protector of democracy.
Hello, a very good evening. Hey everybody, I'm back in conversation with Tuhin Sinha. He's come out with the third book of the series that he's writing about the tribals' contribution to India's freedom struggle, and it's called Sido Kanu, the Santhal Hull, Bharat's first war of Indian independence. Tuhin, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Pleasure
How
talking
are
to you,
you?
Sharon. Pleasure talking to you and to Swaraj Mac.
Uh, Pleasure is ours as well. But one thing that I'm missing out on is being in Bangalore, because right now I'm in Delhi and I'm missing out all the fun that's happening in Bangalore because the opposition is terming itself India. And I'm sorry that I'm immediately getting into a political conversation with you, but obviously we'll speak about your book in detail.
Well, very amusing to know that the opposition alliance has decided to go from being called PDA to NDA, from public display of absurdity. Now they want to call themselves India. But the irony is that they are everything against the idea of India. They are all about self aggrandizement. But the real Bharat is something we represent, the BJP and its alliance partners represent. The real Bharat is something which rests in us. Now, if you look at it, most of these people are there for self-aggrandizement and to prevent themselves from the dynasties collapsing. So, in Bengal, ideally on a or in Delhi for that matter, ideally on a day you are in Delhi, you would realize the flood situation is absolutely out of control. But the Delhi CM, instead of attending to or addressing the flood control, decides to abdicate his responsibility as he has done on all possible occasions, including, the horrific instance of the COVID pandemic, where during the desperate need for oxygen, he was renovating his house. So once again, he has abdicated his responsibility, and he is in Bangalore instead of addressing the flood situation in Delhi. When it comes to Mamata Banerjee, with 50 people dead in panchayat elections, I think she should feel a little embarrassed before calling herself a protector of democracy. And so far as Nitish Kumar is concerned, very strong likelihood that he's going to suffer the fate of Sharad Pawar, because most of his party workers are disgruntled with him. Bihar is in a very abysmal state right now because of his illusions of becoming the prime minister. So I think
Mhm.
most of these people, the crucial difference between NDA and I would still call them PDA is that NDA is an alliance out of choice to retain a government that has delivered in the last 9 years, which has a vision for the next 25 years. It is an alliance to strengthen Prime Minister Modi, who has given India that direction, that positive direction, where India is on the verge of becoming the third largest economy in the next 2 or 3 years. PATA, on the other hand, is a desperate act of saving their respective dynasties, of preventing themselves from going to jail, because if they know that if they don't survive in 2024, most of these political parties will not live to fight 2019. So it's a compulsion. That explains the reason
Right.
why the Aam Aadmi Party puts Congress workers in jail in Punjab, why it abuses Rajiv Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi, and yet the Congress decides to support them on the ordnance issue.
Mm.
And similar contradictions exist all over. Sharad
Right.
Pawar does not attend it on the first day, but decides to attend it on the second day. By the time the next meeting happens, Sharad Pawar, true to his nature, might attend only 1 hour of it, and then after that he might disappear. So I think there's a guessing game on over who is going to quit next. It could be, to my understanding, Nitish Kumar, because, like I said, the
Mm.
ground reality is that his own party is in very bad shape and is on the verge of a revolt to against him.
But since you've been observing politics, and this is not a question to you as someone who's a spokesperson of the BJP, but as somebody who's observed politics for a long time, even in 2018, when the Congress formed its alliance with the JDS, if you remember, they had a huge rally in front of Vidhan Saudha in Bengaluru, and the Mahagathbandhan was announced. What difference do you find between these alliances which keep evolving from time to time?
See, since I have observed politics very closely from the early 1990s, in the mid 90s, there was a person called Harkishan Singh Surjit of CPI. 2 years before every election, he would start knocking everybody's doors and say, "We are forming an alliance against, the existing." They used to call themselves the third front at that point of time. But the fact is that most of these alliances, they don't have an agenda except to prolong their own survival, because they don't have a policy. They don't have there is nothing they stand for. Arvind Kejriwal, I know at least a dozen people who had contributed to Arvind Kejriwal's party in 2011, 2012 when he entered. And today they can't stand him. They abuse him because he is rubbing shoulders with Lalu Prasad Yadav, a habitual criminal, a habitually corrupt guy who might, or whose family members might still again be in jail because of the job for because of the land for job scam, which is again a very
Right,
overt scam. Hemant Soren of JMM is similarly involved in an equally overt mining case scam, where there is enormous conflict of interest. As the mining minister of Jharkhand, he leases out mining contracts to Hemant Soren, the businessman. So most of these political parties do not have an agenda beyond their personal survival, and the cause or the objective of the survival or the existence in politics again is to loot the country. And that is where the Indian electorate over the last two
right.
decades has matured immensely. After 1996, if you recall, there has
Yeah,
not been a hung parliament even once.
right.
And that
But
explains why, again, once again in 2024, the more absurdity they exude, I think the BJP's numbers would only increase.
I have probably one last question, but this is a two-parter. One is that if you look at the tone with which certain opposition leaders are speaking, I recall watching Mr. Raghav Chadda speaking to the media earlier today, and he said that the BJP is shaken that so many parties have come together. So, how do you respond to this? And B, if you say that the alliance is just for their own survival, then the Congress and the other opposition parties are asking why the BJP is going on to stitch around 34 or 38 alliances themselves.
See, we are shaken in amusement and in exhilaration, because we can't not enjoy the drama unfolding over there in Bangalore. So, like I said, I mean, Tejasvi Surya describes it as Ali Baba Chalis Chor. Honorable Prime Minister himself has described it as Bhrashtacharyu ka Mela. But honestly, like I said, if one can be shaken by the specter of it, it is only because of the sheer amusement and entertainment it provides. And we were under the impression that only Rahul Gandhi is an entertainer. If Raghav Chidda wants to be a bigger entertainer, good luck to him. So the second part of the question, why do we need 34 or 38 alliance partners? More than we, whether it is the people, and essentially political parties represent the people, I think it's a huge achievement that even 9 years after being in power, there is a demand for BJP among newer sections of the electorate. I mean, uh, new chunks of the population, people who had hitherto not voted for BJP, want to vote for BJP. That is precisely the reason why political parties, which had so far not associated with the BJP, which had so far, been wary of BJP, now want to align with the BJP. So, the BJP being an inclusive party, in fact, I remember way back 2 decades back, LK Advani ji he used to use a term called principled flexibility. The BJP never considers anybody
Right.
to be untouchable. But at the same time, we believed in principled flexibility. We will not compromise on the ethos which we stand for. We will stick to the ethos of nationalism, of Hindutva, and of zero tolerance to corruption, of safeguarding the country's interest when it comes to external factors, external challenges. But at the same time, if newer partners want to align with us, keeping in mind the sanctity of our ethos, we are not
Mhm.
close to them. We are very much open to them.
But the opposition is also saying that the BJP may not get up to the mark that they reached in 2014 and 19, and that's the reason that they're scared. And we will probably end with this.
Well, this is exactly they were saying before 2014 and 2019 also. But if you look at it, the BJP has only grown, and the Congress has gone down to 45 and 54 seats. So if they don't change their tenor, if they don't change the thought process, I don't see the Congress figure tally improving much, despite the couple of states which they may have won in the last 6 months.
Thank you so much for joining us,
Thank you,
Tuhin.
pleasure.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Absolute pleasure, Sharan.